Hi, my name is Brian Hunt, and this is my final project presentation. I'm a math and science teacher at Servite High School in Anaheim, California. It's an all-boys Catholic high school. The preliminary problem that I came to base my research question around was looking at student engagement and math and science fluency for students. Looking specifically for student engagement, how to link engagement and overall performance in the classroom, and then looking at math science fluency, how um, high school levels of mastery for these courses best prepare students for college. Um, Allowed me to look at specifically the method in terms of my delivery. So I wanted to investigate, does the flipped class math and science all male classroom enhance student mastery of content to best prepare young men for college? So starting off with the quantitative needs assessment, I looked at my HP physics classes, and what I did was started the year with using a traditional classroom, just standard lecture in class, go home, work on worksheets, so on and so forth. So that was unit one dimensional kinematics, and then transitioned with the next unit into the flipped classroom model, where students then engaged in the lecture at home and then came into class to actually work on worksheets and work with peers on problems or work with myself on problems. This was unit two, where we're dealing with vectors and two-dimensional kinematics. And about a few weeks into our work with unit two, I conducted a survey to get some feedback, some quantitative feedback on how this was going. So I used the Likert scale to generate four questions to ask the students, which range from one being strongly disagree or five strongly agree in terms of student feedback. And the questions I asked required a little reflection to look back on their thoughts behind how the year started out in Unit 1 with traditional classroom, and then how currently Unit 2 was going with the flipped classroom. Another thing that I looked at was how specifically we had question 1 and question 3 linked because they're the same question, but just looking at feelings at the start of or during unit one and at the start of unit two, and then looking at question two. These are like because they're the same question, but looking at how unit one it was traditional, and unit um, two it was now not a traditional class. So question one asked, I felt very comfortable with the material after standard lectures. And then question three, same question, but now in the flipped model in unit two, I feel very comfortable with the material after today's meeting lecture at home and in class work / problem solving. And then looking at question two, per unit one exam thoughts, I felt the classroom lectures helped me understand the material better. Question four linked to that was now in unit two, I felt today's classroom helped me understand the material better, lecture at home, and in class work and problem solving. So, looking at the feedback that I generated, I looked at and compared questions one and three, and then later on questions two and four. And what I got back from that was the means showed 2.9 and 2.7 respectively between questions one and three. There was a change in 0.2 units, a drop, kind of in terms of anything showing would basically show that there was in terms of average, a preference for the traditional classroom, whereas the mode, the most repeated bin in terms of that, or most repeated number, was two for the traditional classroom field, and then three for the flipped classroom field, even still showing not really necessarily a preference. Um, but you're looking at my data, you could argue it's a little semi-symmetric, but a little closer to right skewed for the question three, blue down here. Conclusion I was able to come to is that closer to being indifferent about the methods in regard to comfort with the material. Moving forward, linking questions two and four, the means showed the same, 3.1, 3.1. Averages on the Likert scale, the modes were both three in both cases. So the data is semi-symmetric, and conclusion came to is still, in regards to those two questions, indifferent about understanding the material through the flipped classroom and traditional classrooms. So interpretation of the results, I didn't really see any extreme changes. Checking for trends as the flipped classroom is continuously implemented, I feel is something that I'm going to need to continue to do throughout the year with quantitative assessment. Students really don't have, did not have, let's say, I did do this a few weeks ago, um, did not have a preference over the two delivery methods. So needs and need to continuously observe class interaction and implement additional surveys, like I said, for further investigation.